Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel Photoshop Now. In today's episode, we are going to see one of the most powerful features of Photoshop, Smart Objects. Smart Objects can be set as the container or the repository of pixels that they retain even when you downsize an image. Let me show you what I mean. In this file, you see an image of a marigold flower on a black background sitting on a fixed layer with red color. If you want to downsize this flower image, as you would normally do, press Ctrl T or Command T on Mac, and when the bounding box appears, click one of the corners and hold the Alt key or Option key on Mac and drag it down, like so, to downsize the image. Once you are satisfied with the size, click on the check mark or press Enter key or Return key on Mac to accept the change. Now you have changed your mind and want to resize it back to the original size. And let's assume for a good measure that you have closed the file and the undo options are not available. You now press the same keys, Ctrl T or Command T on Mac for transformation and drag up the corner handles holding the Alt key or Option key to make the image to its original size. But look what the Photoshop has done. When you downsized, it threw away all the pixels, and later when you upsize it, it is making up the pixels that it has thrown away, giving a blurry picture. This is not what we want, and we wish to have flexibility. I am pressing Ctrl Z or Command Z for a couple of times, or go to File, Revert to get back to my original state. Now let's change this layer into a smart object. The first method, right-click on the thumbnail on the gray area, which gives the flyout pop-up, and from there choose Convert to Smart Object. Let's click elsewhere and see what other ways of doing it. Click out on the right side corner flyout menu from the layer panel, and you can choose to convert the layer into a smart object. Let's not do this either. I'm pressing the escape key. Go to Layer, Smart Object, and choose Convert to Smart Object. Now we know 3 different ways to convert a layer into a smart object. Once the layer is converted into a smart object, you don't find any difference in the image, except that you find a small icon is added to the layer, indicating that it has been converted into a smart object. Now, when you press Ctrl T or Command T on Mac, the resize bounding box appears, except that there are 2 diagonal lines crosses the image. Let's now resize the image like we did earlier. Now, when you change your mind and want to bring back to its original size, press Ctrl T or Command T on Mac, and instead of dragging the image, input the value of 100% on the dimension box, and sure enough, you get back the original image without any damage done. Well, this is the starting point. I now want you to try out the brush tool here. Tap the B key and select the brush tool. When you hover over the layer that is a smart object, the nose symbol, a circle with a cross line in it, appears, and when you still click the image, it gives a pop-out asking if you want to rasterize the image. Rasterizing in simple term means that you accept whatever is in there and no further non-destructive modification is possible. That is not what we want, and hence press cancel. The point here is any action that modifies the pixel is not possible on smart objects like painting, dodging, burning, sharpening, etc. However, as I mentioned before, our original image is stored in a container or repository, and to access this, double-click on the thumbnail of the image and it opens up the image in a new tab. It also gives a friendly message that after you have done editing, save it, and these will be reflected in the smart object file. Let's double-click, and sure enough, our flower image opens up in a new tab. Let's turn this image into a red color. To do this, choose the color replacement tool by tapping the B key and Shift B until you get this tool, as by default, tapping the B key goes to the brush tool. Choose a dark red and paint over the image to change the yellow flower into red, like so. And once done, when you save the file, press Ctrl S or Command S and click on the X up there to close the file. The changes in color are reflected in the Smart Object file. Now, you want to undo this action. You need not go back, double-click the thumbnail, but just go to Edit and choose Undo Update Smart Objects or the popular command Ctrl Z or Command Z. Let's click off the eyeball of the background layer and make only the flowers layer visible. We want to mask out the black area retaining only the flower. To do this, press W, and it does not matter which tool it chooses in the tools family associated with the letter W. You find the select image on top of the screen. Click it and give a few moments for Photoshop to work on it. Sure enough, it has done a decent job of selecting the flower alone, and with the selection on, press the layer mask icon on the right lower side of the panel here. You could see the black areas are masked and only the flower is selected. Also, let's resize the flower to approximately say 30% by pressing the known keyboard shortcut Ctrl T or Command T and dragging it to downsize, or by entering 30% on the values above with the width and height values linked. Let's make two other copies of the Smart Object layer by pressing Ctrl J or Command J on Mac. We now have three copies of the same image sitting one over the other, and we want to distribute them evenly at the right side of the background layer. To do this, click on the background layer, press Ctrl A or Command A on Mac, and you will see the marching ends around the border indicating that this layer is selected. And with still the selection on, tap the V key or the Move tool, and on the Options area, you will find the options for aligning. These small icons indicate moving the object to left, center, and right, and below, center, and top. Click on the first layer of the Smart Object, and we want this to appear on the lower right corner, and so you choose right, bottom. Choose the second layer, and this time choose the right, center, and the third layer to appear on the right side top corner, and to do this, choose right, top. Now that we have arranged the flowers, click the last but one layer, choosing the first flower layers from the bottom, and double-click on it. As expected, it opens in a new tab, and let's do the same painting exercise to this open layer document. And once you finish it, press Ctrl S, Command S on Mac, and what you find here is that all the three flowers are now painted red. That is, these images, though are copies, they are affected when you take actions at a pixel altering level on one layer. However, you can do actions that does not damage or alter the pixels, like reducing the opacity, resizing, etc., independent of each other. There are two ways that you can use the Smart Object. As you can see from File, Place Embedded, and File, Place Linked. Let's see what these two mean. For the sake of faster tutorial, I have already created and opened three files here. Linked Smart Object.psd, Embedded Smart Object.psd, and Splash.psd. The first two files are nothing but a file containing a single background layer. Now we are going to try out linking and embedding in these two files respectively with the Splash.psd and see the difference. First, choose the Embedded Smart Object.psd file, and I click File, Place Embedded as indicated by the file name. This asks us to choose the file to be embedded, and I choose Splash.psd, and this is now opened as a Smart Object in this file, as you could see the Smart Object icon below. I now go to the second file, linked Smart Object.psd, and I click File, linked. And these two asks to choose the file, and same way I choose splash.psd. And notice the difference in the icon here. Instead of opening as a smart object, there is a small chain icon indicating that it is linked to the splash.psd and not embedded. This is important, and we shall see why in a moment. For now, let's go to the splash.psd and do some changes. Let's convert this into a black and white image by clicking the adjustment layer icon and choose black and white. In addition, let's also add a text layer by tapping the letter T, and this changes the cursor into a rectangle with a sort of strict drawing inside, which denotes that this is a type tool. Click on the middle of the image and this pops out the famous lorem ipsum, which in graphical and textual context refers to a filler text that is placed in the document or visual presentation. Let's erase this out and type splash. And click Ctrl S or Command S on Mac. Thus the file is saved. Closing this file or keeping it open will not make any difference, but we shall keep it open just for the sake of reference. Let's check out the two files. As you could see, the embedded file is unchanged, but the linked file has updated. If you don't see the updation and see only a warning triangle on the linked file, go to File, Smart Object, Update Modified Content. The Update All Modified Content is used when you have made changes to more than one layer in the source file. The downside of Place Embedded is that the file size is considerably high compared to Place Linked. You can send the embedded file directly to the client or to your colleague, whereas for linked file, you need to choose File, Package, and all the associated files linked therein are put in a separate folder, and this folder can be sent to the client. And another note, if you happen to move the path of the linked file, say, let's move the splash.psd to another folder, and when you come to the linked file, a red question mark appears indicating that it lost the link. You can update the path to the link by going to Layer, Smart Objects, Relink to File. Let's see some practical use of these smart objects. I have created a photo album template and have already placed 3 photos. I used the guides to position the picture placeholder and masked out the rest of the layer. Let's assume you use this photo template for one of your clients. And when the next time you want to use the same template with different photos, go to Layer, Smart Object, and choose Replace Content. Or right-click on the gray portion of the Smart Object layer and choose Replace Content. As one would expect, it asks to choose the file, and here we choose the replacement folder and choose Bridge. Now the original family photo is replaced with the selected file. Well, these are just basic ideas with which the smart objects can be used, and your creativity and out-of-box thinking are the limits as to how these can be used. Please subscribe and click the bell icon for instant notification of further advanced tutorials that are to come. Please comment, like, share this video for the benefit of mankind. Thank you very much.